What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Optimus Fantasy Football Channel. I am Nate Palva, joined by my co-host, the one and only Keith Fleming, for our Friday Vibes show. It's very simple. We're not here to get crazy with stats. We're not here to do anything but have a little bit of fun with this slate and answer your questions here on Fridays. We get ready for week 3 of the NFL. Keith, are you ready for week 3? What are you looking for in week 3? It's going to be a great week one way or the other because we get football, but what are you most excited for this week?
Hopefully the Atlanta Falcons to have a winning record. Because if we lose to Carolina, yikes. But other than that, I need some wins in some of my fantasy football leagues. It's been a rough start to the season. Didn't help that I started Justin Fields everywhere last week, and I think he got negative points in a few of the leagues and no more than a few in the ones that gave the most points for or I guess the least punishment for turnovers. So I want some dubs both for my teams and then my team, the Falcons.
Yeah, it's been rough, man. I'm 0-4 in Scott Fishbowl,
Me
and
too.
I am heavily invested in Jaden Daniels right now, and it's making me real nervous this weekend, especially, knowing that he's not going to play. I have other options, of course, but they're not Jaden Daniels. I need some rebounds. I need some big-time rebounds. We've got Albert in the chat, Keith, saying hello, everyone. Albert, it's always a pleasure to see you hanging out with us here on a Friday. We've got our first question. This one coming in before the show even started. Jason Williams, buddy, we got you. He says, hey guys, I need 3, 1 flex, 2 running backs. His options are Jordan Mason, Chase Brown, Tony Pollard, Calvin Ridley at wide receiver, Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne. This is a half PPR league. We're looking for 2 running backs and a flex from this group. Keith, who do you got?
The backs are pretty easy for me. I definitely want Jordan Mason. I would assume a monster workload, considering basically all their other backs are on IR. They're starting Carson Wentz at quarterback. Don't think that's a game script where you want to throw it all over the yard. It's tough between like Brown, Etienne, and Walker, but I've got to go Walker, especially if Charbonnet is ruled out. He's doubtful. Walker had just an absurd game last week. I think it was like over 8 yards per carry. And he also catches passes, which, that obviously is going to help with it being half PPR. And normally I always lean receiver for the flex, and I do like Ridley this week. It'll be nice for him to not have to be lined up against a good corner and playing a really strong defense. But I think I'm going to go ETN. I know that there's some concern, obviously, with Tootin, what a great last name, getting involved finally last week and looking great, by the way. But, it's unbelievable, like the Liam Cohen effect. You looked at like Tampa Bay before he got there on yards before contact. Tampa Bay was 26, I think, the year before he got there. Last year, they were like 4th. And then with Jacksonville, they were 23rd last year, and this year they're 1st. So, he's just so good at designing runs that I think I would go ETN, especially seeing last week Tampa against the same Houston defense targeted Bucky Irving a ton, and we know ETN can catch passes as well.
Yeah, I think I'm with you here. I'm going to roll out Jordan Mason. I'm going to roll out ATN. And I'm going to roll out Kenneth Walker. However you want to put those between running back and flex doesn't really matter. With Charbonnet likely not playing again, Kenneth Walker, I still think is a better back, even if he does play.
Yeah.
I like Kenneth Walker to see more volume moving forward, especially after last week. Chase Brown's a no for me because of the inefficiency. And I don't think with Jake Browning anything changes as far as scheme with this offense. They're still going to be a throw first team because Browning can get the ball down the field. I just don't like Chase Brown. I don't like Tony Pollard. I don't think he's efficient at the Tennessee offense. And Calvin Ridley, this Tennessee offense, I don't trust it. I don't love it. So I'm not going to start any of these guys. And Liam Cohen has made Travis Etienne into something I didn't think was possible. So I'm going to roll with him as well. Let's get on to this next one here. We've got C English over on Twitch, Keith. What's up, guys? I'm in need of a running back. Would you trade Nico for Chase Brown? I think from my current comments, which you just heard me say about Chase Brown, I would say no. Keith, would you make this deal?
I would see if I could get something else. Not knowing his full roster, I don't want to just flat out say no, but better times are ahead for Nico Collins. I know it's been frustrating to start the season, but I think they're going to continue to, figure out the offensive line and get things going. He's just a target monster. And I do think Brown, he had a really tough slate at the beginning of the year. I think the Browns were going to find out it's like one of the best run defenses in football of what they did to
Yep.
Derrick Henry to follow up Chase Brown. But I'm with you. I have a little bit of concern just about the Bengals offense in general. And I think if you're trading away Nico Collins, like you should be able to get something a little better than Chase Brown back.
Yeah, I would look to tear up from Chase Brown. I mean, you should be able to get a top 10 running back for Nico Collins if you need the help. So we are in agreement here. We've got the next. This is just a flex from Jacob over on Twitch. He's got a 12-man half PPR team, one quarterback, two running back, two wide receivers, one tight end, and two flex can be a tight end. He's got Drake May, Chase Brown, Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Brock Bowers, Romo Dunze, JCM, which is Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. I can say his full name now without stumbling. It's beautiful. That Packers D, that's beautiful as well. And he's got the Packers kicker, which would be Brandon McManus. On his bench right now, Caleb Williams, Dylan Sampson, Bashal Tootin, Matthew Golden, and Jawan Johnson. Keith, this is a pretty good lineup. The only thing I don't love is your depth at running back. I feel like you're a little thin there, and you could get bit later in the season on that. Otherwise, this is a good team.
Yeah, I will say though, I mean, like Pollard and Brown from a volume perspective, I think they're both top three in snap percentages, like weighted opportunities. So at least you got backs that are going to get carries each week. And I do think Tootin eventually is going to eat into ETN. He just looks so good last week and
Yeah.
kind of reminds me a little bit of Bucky Irving. And like we could see a similar situation to last year, right? In Tampa, where, Irvin ate into White's load, and you can see the same thing with Tootin this year with ETN. But that is a redonkulous roster, just an absurd amount of pass catchers. Like, I mean, to have Bowers, who's the best tight end in football, and then to have Juwan Johnson, who all of a sudden is looking like the steal of fantasy football drafts because 2 weeks in a row, I mean, 10 plus targets,
Yeah.
the first read shares, like across the board in tight end metrics, he's top five. And it's not like New Orleans has a lot of other options. So there's going to be weeks he can probably start two tight ends, which is great.
Yep. He does want us to know he is starting Caleb over Drake May this week. I don't hate
Woo!
that.
I do.
It's a little spicy. I mean, the matchup for Chicago is interesting against Dallas, but also this Dallas defense isn't good. And I think that Caleb Williams can air the ball out. Mike Reedy and I talked about it earlier on the DFS show in relation to Caleb Williams and actually rostering him in DFS. This is going to be a shootout more than likely. I mean, look at the Giants game. Look what they let Russell Wilson do. So this could be a really good get right game for
Have
Caleb
you seen the
Williams.
Steelers defense though? Just questioning this year because
No,
they
they're
have
not
given
good
up.
either.
They're horrible.
They're horrible.
And New England is throwing it. I mean, at a higher rate than Chicago. I couldn't sit May for Caleb. I get it for DFS. Like that makes total sense. But May's floor has been so much higher through the first year and whatever 2-3 games. And I think we saw last week that if they can just protect a little better, and the left side was good this week. I think, and again, I get that what he's saying about the Mike Tomlinson teams are great against young QBs, not when they're missing so many key cogs. And just remember, in the last 2 weeks, Justin Fields and Sam Darnold went bananas. Like their teams averaged over 6 yards per play. Look what the Jets and Seahawks offense did in their other matchups. They barely averaged over 3 yards per play. And we were going like, what happened? I think Pittsburgh's D is in real trouble. If they were in Pittsburgh, it would be different, but this is also in New England. I think that May and the Pats are going to roll.
I mean, I've got them at 8 and 11 in my rankings. I've got May at 8. I've got Caleb Williams at 11. For me, that's kind of the same tier with quarterbacks. So I don't think it's a bad decision either way, honestly. I mean, obviously, one of them is going to end up wrong at the
Oh,
end
you
of the
got to
day.
trust your
But
gut. I mean, I'm
yeah,
just saying, that's
yeah.
my opinion.
Oh, no, I hear you. I hear you. And I don't necessarily disagree. My gut's saying Caleb Williams this week, though, as well. So I'm with you there, Jacob. We've got Albert Marroquin. He's got Brian Thomas Jr., Devontae Adams, Cortland Sutton. It's full PPR. He needs to start two of these. Who are you going with, Keith?
I'm gonna go with definitely Adams. You want to talk about the most condensed passing game we may have ever seen by the end of the season if Stafford stays, healthy. Because I mean, it's just Devontae and Puka, and he was one of my favorite plays in DFS last week. One of the things I definitely got right. There was a lot of other things I got wrong. Hello, Justin Fields. And then I do like BTJ. It's a tough matchup for Cortland Sutton. This Chargers defense is really good, and I know things have been really rough for BTJ, but if you look at it, his opportunities are through the roof. Like I think I saw
Mhm.
it was FTN showed that it's like one of the biggest disparities I've ever seen through two games of expected fantasy points and actually what he's putting up. And I think that is going to eventually change. And, I believe in BTJ, and I just Cortland Sutton and this Denver offense, I have concerns, particularly when they're playing a defense like the Chargers.
Sure, and I'm with you. I'm going to start BTJ and Devontae Adams. I'm not happy about the BTJ thing. I don't trust Trevor Lawrence. What
That's
concerns me
fair.
the well, and what concerns me the most about Brian Thomas is simply what you were just saying. Like the opportunities have absolutely been there, and he hasn't been able to capitalize on them. But it's not his fault. 5 catches over 19 targets. He's got 60 yards receiving without a touchdown. This is a Trevor Lawrence problem. That said, I'm still starting him over Cortland Sutton because it kind of starting to look like Cortland Sutton is the wide receiver too on this team
Troy
behind
Franklin?
Troy Franklin.
Yeah.
So, which I mean, if you paid attention last year, this shouldn't be terribly surprising that Troy Franklin has emerged like this. College teammates with Bo
Yep.
Nix. Peyton was very clear last season that he was a year away from being a significant part of this offense. So, and here we are a year later. So, we're going to go with J Hang 20 over on YouTube next, Keith. Hi, would you trade Trevion Henderson for Jordan Mason? At wide receiver right now, he has Drake London, Brian Thomas Jr., Emeka Egbuka, and Travis Hunter. His running backs are Josh Jacobs and Henderson. He also needs 2 flexes from that group. To answer your first question, no, I would not trade Trevion Henderson for Jordan Mason. There's still a lot of opportunity for Trevion Henderson. Aaron Jones will be back at some point. And I'm going to be honest, guys, I don't know that I trust Jordan Mason that much. He looked really good when he was in San Francisco. His efficiency hasn't been here in this offense, specifically in Minnesota. Whether that's a scheme issue, Keith, a line issue, I'm not 100% sure. This week will tell us a lot about what Jordan Mason is going to be over the next 4 weeks, but I'm not just immediately buying in. We did the same thing with Alexander Madison, remember, and that didn't work out either. So,
Yeah, that's fair. I do think that Mason needs volume to be the back that he's capable of. It's kind of like what you saw in San Francisco, that his numbers in games where he'd only get, say, like 8 to 10 touches were nowhere near the games he'd had 15, 20. Because he's just one of those guys that it seems like that he wears down a defense usually as the game goes on. But I'm with you. I still really like Trevion Henderson. The only concern I have about him is his blocking has been pretty rough. And he was supposed
yep.
to be a good blocker. That was one of the reasons I was like, man, the Patriots got to still. Like, he's one of the best runners, best pass catchers, and he was like an above average
Right.
blocker, and he's getting killed in blocking situations. I think he's already got like 2 holding penalties as well. And that will keep a rookie off the field if he doesn't clean that up. But I still think that he can figure it out. And if he does, him and May, I think, could be an electric pairing. We saw May hit Stevenson several times in the passing game, and we know he's a better runner than Stevenson, like right now. So I'm with you. I would wait. I think that, Jordan Mason could be great for like the next couple of weeks. But to your point, when Aaron Jones comes back, we're probably going to be right back in, the
Yep.
50-50 timeshare.
Well, and the thing about Trevion Henderson too is that he's in a system in New England with Josh McDaniels and Mike Vrabel, and they're known running back by committee guys. That said, Ramondre Stevenson is known to make mistakes, and he does fumble and piss his
Yeah, a
coaches
lot.
off. And I'm kind of waiting for that to happen, and for Henderson to figure out this pass blocking at the NFL level, because he was very good at it in
Yep.
college, just what you said, and that's why I think a lot of us thought he was going to step into New England and immediately get work because of that. Not that there's anything wrong with the talent at running back. But if he can't do that, yeah, they're not going to roll him out nearly as often. When he gets better at that, he's going to be a guy worth holding on to. It's not going to take him that long. So I would hold him. Jordan Mason could be just a very simple flash in the pan.
Yep.
We've got Caden over on YouTube. He wants to know straight up, are you starting Bo Nix or Jordan Love this week, Keith?
Normally, I always go with the running quarterback, but Cleveland, again, I think they have one of the best run defenses in football, if not the best, seeing what they did to Derrick Henry. And that means the Packers are going to have to throw the ball in this game. And I think that they will be able to throw on Cleveland, kind of similar to Baltimore. And I do. I think the Chargers are for real, like both on offense and defense. And I think this Denver, Chargers game is going to be a slugfest because Denver is also really good on defense. I know they looked a little suspect last week, but it's tough facing, Shane Steichen when he's got a quarterback that can run. And right now, Jones is completing like 70% of his short passes.
Wow.
And if he does that, they're going to do what they've been doing. It's just basically getting points on every drive. And the Broncos did everything they could to give that game away, for being honest. Like, they should have won it anyway. So I would lean Love, slightly over Knicks, but I'm okay with playing either. I think they're pretty close.
They are. I mean, for me, I've got Jordan Love at 13, Bo Nix at 14 in my weekly ranking.
There
So
you go.
it's a toss up for me. I probably would lean Jordan Love just because of matchup. This Chargers defense is tough. They're going to be tough on Bo Nix. It's a division game. This is going to be a hard game for the Broncos. So I would lean Love right now, but again, I don't think you can go wrong really either way. We've got Jay Hang back with another question, Keith. He wants to know, should he start Travis Hunter or Troy Franklin this weekend? Which one are you rolling out? We're going to assume it's PPR.
Oh, I mean, I've got to go Franklin. You just said it a minute ago. Like, the volume is there. We've seen it on consecutive weeks. The first read target share is much higher than anybody expected. To your point, he's like right there with Cortland Sutton on first read targets. So Hunter is just so confusing right now because we saw last week they flipped the switch and he was on defense, a lot, and his offensive snaps went down. So I'm going to take the guy with more volume. Not to mention, I actually think, they're going to need Franklin because he does a lot of the underneath stuff too, right? Like, he's not just a big play guy, right?
No, he's an underneath. He's an all over the field guy. And that's, I think, what took them so long to get him developed is they needed him to be a guy that could be anywhere on the field. That takes a little bit more time for a rookie, especially coming out of a program like Oregon that didn't really go down the field quite as much as some other programs do. So I get it. But yeah, I'm starting him. I'm starting him over Travis Hunter. There are a lot of guys I'm starting Troy Franklin over this week. I'm a little bit higher than consensus on him in my rankings, but I think it's fair. I think it's,
I
we
did
saw
too.
what Cortland we saw what Cortland Sutton was able to do last season as a wide receiver one in this system. If we get that out of Troy Franklin, we're talking a top 20 wide receiver finish for him.
He's one of your
We're going to
favorite
go
plays on DK, right? Like, I think he's like 4,200. I think he's one of the best
nothing.
values there is. Yeah.
He is. Again, matchup concerns me a little bit, but in this instance, yeah, I'm definitely starting Troy Franklin. We've got another one from Caden over on YouTube, Keith. Half PPR, start two wide receivers, one flex out of this group. Brian Thomas Jr., Marvin Harrison Jr., Deebo Samuel, Emeka Egbuka, Cortland Sutton, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne. We have to definitely note here, Emeka Egbuka, while he did practice today, is questionable to play on Sunday.
I mean, don't you think Deebo is you got to start him I know some people would be concerned with Mariota starting. I actually think it helps Deebo because Mariota is not going to be throwing it down the field. Deebo is definitely the yards after the catch guy. They're lining him up in the slot like 70% of the time. And Deebo, I mean, like, in yards per route run, he, over the last 3 years, I think is like 7th among wide receivers when he's lining up in the slot. So that for me is just a smash, even with the QB play. From there, again, are you with me with BTJ too? Like, I think that's the guy that I don't think I can sit him. I'm afraid I'm going to, like, if you spent that much capital on him, he's getting that much volume. And I know it hasn't worked out, but his expected fantasy points are huge. And that's a great thing to kind of go off of. How bad would you feel if you sit him and then say he has like his 25-point game week too? So for me, those are the two that are definite. And then, like, I don't know, where would you go next?
I'm probably going to stay off of Egbuka just with the injury. He's a rookie; they don't necessarily have to push it with him. I have no interest in Marvin Harrison Jr. Not in this
Oh,
Cardinals
Kyler
offense.
looks so bad, man.
Well, Trey McBride's tight end 10 right now. That tells you everything you need to know about this offense. The guy was constantly tight end 1, 2, or 3 last season. Like we said about Cortland Sutton against this Chargers offense, I think it's Troy Franklin. I'm between Brees Hall and Travis Etienne, but I think I'm going to go with Etienne because I like the matchup better, even though I do like that it's Tyrod Taylor at quarterback, so they're probably likely going to give Brees Hall more volume. I think I'm going to go Etienne here.
Yeah, I think that's right. And just again to label your point about the Cardinals, because I saw the stat and it's wild. So far on dropbacks, only 35% of them for Arizona have led to an on-target pass attempt from Kyler Murray. That is the worst in the league by no surprise, and just really troubling because, again, McBride to me is the only guy that's a definite start in that offense right now, because even Connor has not looked great to start the season. And it may just be defenses know they can key in on that because they're not really able to push the ball down the field.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, let's move on to our next one here. We've got Alejandro Fernandez over on YouTube. Hey there, curious, Jalen Warren versus the Pats or Kyron Williams versus the Eagles? I'm leaning Jalen Warren here. Which way are you leaning?
I am too, and these are one of those that you feel kind of dumb saying it because Kyron is gets such a workload, and I actually like the Rams to win this game, but the Eagles are so good versus the run, and I do think that they're going to need Steelers are going to need Jalen Warren because Pittsburgh has really struggled in pass protection. It's one of the reasons they got beat up last week by Seattle. New England has the most sacks in the NFL, one of the top pressure rates as well. What usually happens, right? When a quarterback's under duress, they're going to dump it off to, the tight ends and running backs. And so Jalen Warren's getting a majority of the carries, which he did last week. Thank God. And then he's also going to get pass attempts. Like, I think he's a good play.
Yeah, I am going Jalen Warren because we've heard them talking all week about wanting to get him more involved in this offense. Caleb Johnson is obviously in the doghouse here, Keith. I mean, yeah, you don't get out of Tomlin's doghouse easily. Just ask Roman Wilson and Deontay Johnson; they'll
Right?
tell you, right? Which tells me, I mean, Kenny Gainwell obviously isn't going to be a huge impact player. He's an and in this league. He's a jag, right? Jalen Warren is not. Jalen Warren is a very
No.
talented running back. Aaron Rodgers wants to see him get the ball more. Aaron Rodgers gets what he wants. So I'm definitely going with Jalen Warren here. Let's move on to this one from Cap for Life. What is up, gentlemen? What is up, Cap for Life? He has Jackson Smith and Jigba. He needs a wide receiver too here. Are we going with Troy Franklin, Wandale Robinson, or Brian Thomas Jr. here, Keith?
How wild is it 2 weeks into 2025 that Wandale Robinson deserves to be in this conversation
Deserves.
for who are you starting? Like, it is insane what he's doing with Russell Wilson, who was somebody that both me and Joe Matz loved coming out of college. I watched him a bunch at Kentucky, and it just apparently took a quarterback that could throw it down the field to unleash him. But again, I'm going back to BTJ. I have to give this at least another week or two. Like, if he has, a month worth of the performances we've seen the first 2 weeks, I understand not automatically starting him. But until we reach that point, the volume's there, the expected fantasy points are there, and he's just like one of the most talented dudes in the league. You drafted him early. I would keep rolling with BTJ at least for a couple more games and give him a chance to kind of get the season going.
Well, and look, I am low on Brian Thomas Jr., but out of this group, he's who I want to start as my wide receiver too. As much as I love Wandale Robinson, they're playing the Chiefs this week. That's a much tougher
Yeah.
matchup than the first 2 weeks. Troy Franklin, as much as I like Troy Franklin, I can't put him ahead of BTJ right now in my rankings. I've got BTJ at 22. I'm 11 spots behind consensus on him this week. But that's still a back end wide receiver too, and I like his chances and to reach his ceiling, which I think is honestly like wide receiver 10 to 12 over these other two guys. So I am with you here. We are definitely going with BTJ. We've got this one from Tron Force with Jaden Daniels out, Keith. Which is the better start week 3? he's looking at Mac Jones, Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, Carson Wentz, Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, or Michael Penix.
I mean, I think make sure, because Purdy has been practicing and limited, but if Mac Jones is the starter, I think that's actually the best play. It's our safest, I should say, not the best. I think it's the safest out of this group.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Mariota probably has the highest floor just because, they're going to scheme up a bunch of runs and, trying to get him using his legs, which is, I saw it in Atlanta. It's not pretty, but it does work. But it's not a great situation across the board. I'd love to, recommend my guy Penix, but Carolina has allowed 200 plus rushing yards in 6 of their last 7 games. You're going to see, I think, a very heavy dose of both Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson this week. So I would, again, Mac Jones would probably be my choice, but I'm also okay going with Mariota if you just want to have that rushing, assistance or floor.
Yeah, I'm with you. If it's Mac Jones starting, I'm going with Mac Jones. He's an almost identical replacement to Brock Purdy. When are people going to realize this? There's very little difference between these two player profiles. It's why Kyle Shanahan wanted Mac Jones in the first place with that third pick. Got shamed into Trey Lance. Can you imagine what different conversations we'd be having about Mac Jones right now if he had gone 3rd overall to San Francisco?
Situation matters so much. It's the one thing we do not talk about with these guys enough. And we've seen it recently with Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, these guys that were considered. Baker Mayfield was considered a bust for a while, and now he's one of the best QBs in the league. And Shanahan's as good of a play caller as there is. So, I have all the confidence in the world with Mac Jones, in there for San Francisco. And again, it's not like they're playing a stellar defense either in the Arizona Cardinals. So,
no, well,
could be down 2 corners too. By the way, I meant to mention.
Well, and Mac Jones, 26 of 39 for 270 yards. He threw 3 touchdowns. He didn't throw an interception. This is against New Orleans, right? So there's that whole part of it. But also the week, I just don't care. It's New Orleans. They're playing Arizona this week. It's an equally weak defense. We saw what that game between Arizona and New Orleans was week 1. I'm not worried about him this week. Brock Purdy's going to be back eventually. We're not going to be having this conversation anymore. But for now, for me, it's Mac Jones. We've got Cap for life, Keith. One, Romeo Doubs is on the waiver wire in his league. Is he someone that you would roster right now, especially given we're without Christian Watson, we're without Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft is officially questionable for Sunday?
I mean, yeah, if you have a roster spot, absolutely, go pick him up. It's just, for me, he's in that class of guys that it depends your roster, right? If you have somebody that it's no big deal if you cut, yeah, pick him up because it could be a great start this week. And depending on how long the injuries, linger for these other guys, they're going to throw the ball, especially again this week against the Cleveland defense. But it's just all about, if you have, say a league that, and there are some stupid ones, won't let you put guys on IR or whatever, and say you're holding a guy waiting for him to come back, or you have Rashee Rice and you just don't really have that spot. It's not like I got to go pick him up, but I definitely, would consider it if you have an easy move to make to get him.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think he's a really good play in DFS this week. Mm-hmm. I think that he's a guy that if you have the roster spot, I've picked him up a couple places on waivers this week just simply to kind of beef up my bench a little bit. And he's a guy that I will look at starting. This Packers team is very good. Micah Parsons, the impact he has had on this entire roster cannot be overstated. It's crazy.
Way to go, Jerry Jones.
Way to go, Jerry Jones. Jerry's going to Jerry, right? Cat for Life's got another question. This is a defense, Atlanta defense or Denver defense this week. I'm going to go the Atlanta defense because of the matchup against Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to jinx it as a Falcons fan because we have not had a consistent pass rush literally since John Abraham. And I think it was the 2012 season. So we're talking about 13 years, but the first 2 weeks looked very good. And Bryce Young, unfortunately, is still a turnover machine. At least has been the first, even looking good last week. He turned it over, I believe, twice. So I'm with you. But don't drop Denver. It would would be my recommendation too, because I still think they're going to end up being one of the best defenses in football by the end of the season. You just need a little better play from your linebackers, right? And I think that's really what's missing right now. They're struggling stopping the run. I think that's kind of making it a little bit easier to pass on them as well.
Well, yeah, and I don't get rid of the Denver defense, but I would definitely, if you have the roster spot,
Yeah,
I'd
I'm with
start
you.
Atlanta over.
Yep.
Denver should be getting Dre Greenlaw back,
Oh, that'd be
hopefully this week
huge.
or next
I
week.
forgot about
That's
that.
going to make a huge difference in that defense. A follow up on the Romeo Dobbs here from Cap for Life. Should he drop Jawan Jennings for Dobbs? He can only hold 5 wide receivers. I wouldn't drop Jawan Jennings for Dobbs.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Again, it's a 1 game sample size, but
Yep.
looking at the Niners' health, like with Kittle being out, we don't know when Ayuk's going to be back. It was actually Jennings in the first Mac Jones start who was by far the leader in targets. He had 10. He had the most first read targets,
Yep.
and the yards after the catch was a big deal. I've got something Jennings brings to the table. I know that he's questionable, but it was the exact same thing last week where he didn't practice earlier in the week. I believe he practiced either on like Friday or Saturday. And he had the great game Sunday. And it's a good matchup, too. Again, Arizona is going to be more than likely without their top 2 corners, and wide receivers have caught 17 passes against them each of the first 2 weeks. So, it's only basically Purcell and Jennings. I think Jennings has a great chance to have at least 5-6 receptions again.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on this here. I've got to go not dropping Jennings. I wouldn't start Dobbs over Jennings if Jennings is healthy. So pretty easy one for me. Cat for Life says, thank you anytime, man. We love you tuning in. Guys, if you're here, make sure you like this video and subscribe here to Optimus Fantasy. We've got stuff coming out all freaking week long. Start sit on Sunday morning is the next time you can catch us. That's going to be Lou and I at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And right at
here.
11 a.m., right at 11 a.m. you'll be starting, unlike us.
We're gonna try, but there's no promises. It's a Sunday morning, man. Anything can happen here. We've got another defensive question. This one coming from friend of the show in FTN
Herms!
Fantasy personality, the man, the myth, the legend, the Herms. Hey there, fellas. First time, long time. Need some DST advice. Start the Steelers versus New England. Pick up the Commanders defense versus Las Vegas, or the Niners versus Arizona. Few other options are available, but those seem like the best ones out there. Which one are you going with here? I lean the Niners against Arizona.
Yeah,
Just because
I would
unfortunately
definitely
they can't
say.
move the ball. I think they're going to hold them to the fewest points in this slate here. So, are we in agreement here?
Yeah, I mean the only other one that I would consider obviously would be the Commanders versus Vegas. Like I think the Commanders defense has actually looked okay. They just couldn't move the ball against Green Bay, and that's kind of why Green Bay. So if you look, Green Bay really didn't like go wild outside of Kraft. So
Right.
I do like that. And Bowers being banged up is the other thing. Like that offense did not look the same with 75% Bowers on the field. But I think the Niners D is back. Like the Robert Saleh effect is real. And
Very real.
The first 2 weeks, and I think they're only going to get better, right? Because it's kind of a new scheme and new coordinator.
Yep, exactly. I'm with you that I might consider the Commanders again because, like you're saying, they're a much improved defense, but it has to be the Niners for me against Arizona. That offense has been so inefficient, and I just don't believe in Kyler Murray. Plain and simple. He's a mid quarterback at best. We talked about it on the Dynasty show yesterday. We've got this one from Tyler on
He looks
YouTube.
a lot like Jack Black, man. That's wild.
I know, man. I love it though.
Doppelganger.
Hey, maybe it's
Jack Black's my guy, dude. Oh, for real.
It's
Tenacious
Jack Black's
D?
burner. Yeah, baby. Damn it. Now I'm going to have Tenacious D stuck in my head for the rest of the night, which is fine. So Tyler says, hey, would you trade Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon for Keenan Allen? This is PPR redraft. His other running backs are Travis Etienne, DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams, and David Montgomery. His other wide receivers are Nico Collins, Puka Nacua, Calvin Ridley, Jalen Waddle, and Cedric Tillman. I'm going to say yes. Cut bait on both of these guys. This Houston run game is crap. It's going to be a mix of Chubb when he's healthy and Dameon Pierce and maybe some Devin Singletary. We've seen him get like, I think like 3 carries through 2 games this season. Don't believe in this running game. I'd rather have Keenan Allen, who, despite his age and our assumptions that he would not fit in this offense, is fitting in quite nicely and seeing volume too.
Yeah, I don't know. The only reason I agree with everything you said, I just look at it that I like his receivers more than I do his running backs. And at least this way, you still have Chubb, who right now has got the lead in the carries. And then if Mixon does come back, Mixon was phenomenal with the Texans last year. And I just like, again, Allen would probably start, but I think you're going to see like what we saw from Waddle last night. Like he's going to end up, I think, having a pretty good season. Cedric Tillman, I think, is a very underrated wide receiver. And then Calvin Ridley is a target monster, and it's not like you're going to be sitting, Nico and Puka on a week-to-week basis. But,
Right.
I mean, if you trust the guys you have, yes, you want to make the trade. Like Keenan Allen is the better player than the option. I just, again, worry about, like, is Swift going to be the back in Chicago when it's all said and done? ETN, like, do we have to worry about Tootin? Because – again, we've seen from Liam Cohen, he's not afraid to make a change if one back ends up playing better than the other. And even Javonte Williams, like I love what we've seen, and it's been real by all the data, but I mean, he hasn't had, one full year of being like a stellar running back in his career because of the injury the 1 year that he did. So that's my only concern about it, is it just gives you a little insurance, if those backs end up not panning out. But if you feel comfortable with those running backs, yeah, absolutely make the move.
He kind of followed it up with this, Keith. Should I just package 2 of my running backs for a solid RB1? That's not a bad idea with this here. I would definitely, though, I'm going to tell you right now, cut bait on Mixon for sure. I don't think he's going to play this season, Keith. Everything we're reading, everything we're hearing, he's likely not going to see the field. And if he does, it's going to be in a very limited capacity towards the end of the season. And Nick Chubb, while he's been okay, if you can get something back for him right now, I'm not convinced he's going to stay healthy through the season. The dude has suffered 2 brutal knee injuries. The only reason he was relevant last week was really because he had the 1 touchdown and then 2 targets, 2 catches. But how many weeks are we actually going to see that out of Nick Chubb? I don't think there are a whole lot. If you can turn it into another RB1, that's the move I would make over trying to get Keenan Allen.
Well, and I mean, if you believe, though, that like Mixon is definitely not coming back, I probably would just go ahead and take this trade. Because again, if you can work it out, I just don't know if you're going to be able to trade, any of those 2 guys without basically making it say ETN and Javonte. And I want to keep at least one of those guys because both of those offenses, appear to, be running the ball pretty damn well, particularly Jacksonville. And I think that's the pair you'd have to put together to get an RB1. And then you're just like super thin at running back, at that point.
So here's a thought. Make this trade, get Keenan Allen. Then find someone in your league who's heavy at running back, move Cedric Tillman and Keenan Allen for like a back end RB1, maybe up to a mid tier RB2, get some depth there. I think Etienne's here to stay. Over the last just like week, the more I've thought about it, the more I've looked into stats and just who he is and what this offense is going to be. I do believe that this is for real with Etienne. I don't believe it is with Javonte Williams, but I've been wrong before. So, but if you can, get Keenan Allen, get Cedric Tillman, let Keenan Allen have one more good week. He'll probably have a good week against Denver. He's had that defense's number his entire freaking career. Let him have a big week, package him with Tillman, get that running back return, and you should be good to go, man.
Yeah, because I love his receivers. Like, absolutely love them. Like, you have, like, 3 unquestioned number 1 guys. Waddle is like a 1B. And I think Tillman is the number 1 receiver. Like, he once again last week got more targets than Jerry Jeudy. That's happened every single game since they made the Amari Cooper trade. And everybody continues to think Judy's the number 1 receiver in that offense. And for me, it's all about volume, and he's getting more targets.
Well, Jerry Jeudy's one of those guys that you keep saying he's going to be the wide receiver 1. He's going to look at the talent. He's going to be, and it never pans out. So, and I think you can move Tillman for something nice too because of that. We've got one more here from Dave Flynn, and then we will get you guys on your way to your Friday. over on YouTube, he asks, would you start Mac Jones or Spencer Rattler in your second QB spot? I'll
I mean,
let
it's
you
Mac
answer
Jones,
first.
right? We talked
It's
about it. I loved it. And you brought up how well his numbers were overall. Most impressed for me, 8 of 11 on third down for like 139 yards and all 3 touchdowns. If Mac Jones is going to be that efficient on third down, like the Niners offense could actually be better with him at quarterback than Brock Purdy, because that's something Purdy has struggled with a little bit, has been third down. But again, Arizona going to be down 2 corners. Like I don't trust Spencer Rattler either. I think Mac Jones is a very safe play this week, and Arizona's actually been pretty good versus the run. So I don't think it's going to be a game where they're able to just like unleash CMC, 35 times and move the ball consistently.
No, it won't be. And I've said this probably a million times. I'm going to say it one more time in this situation specifically, okay? Scouts don't miss a lot in the NFL. They do sometimes, but very rarely do they miss so hard on a player that a guy like Tom Brady falls to the 6th round, or a guy like Mac Jones falls to the dead last pick in the NFL draft. What I'm trying to say with this goes back to the whole situation matters thing. Because you think if Tom Brady ended up in Miami with the
Or
6th
Atlanta.
round pick, or Atlanta, do you think we're talking about Tom Brady right now?
Nope.
No, not unless we're talking about guys who were late round picks that never panned out and no one really knows. Brock Purdy, if he goes to any other team, we're not talking about him unless we're talking about Mr. Irrelevance. He landed in a perfect situation for his skill set. Kyle Shanahan knew it when he drafted him. I don't think he knew this was going to go the way it went. Mac Jones is probably a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. He just
Preach.
didn't get the early opportunity. If this injury lingers for Brock Purdy, San Francisco might actually be a better team with Mac Jones. And now we're going to
100%
go
agree.
ahead. We're going to get out of here because we're probably just got canceled. And this is probably our last show ever with all the Mac Jones over
We'll
Brock
be there with
Purdy
Jimmy
luck here.
Kimmel. It'll be okay.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll get picked up by public access. It'll be
There you
wonderful.
go.
Channel 13 on UHF, guys. You can find us there next week. But seriously, it has been great having you all tune in on this Friday. If you are watching post live or you are listening to the audio version on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, wherever you are, head over to our Discord channel if you've got questions. The link is in the show description. We are there all weekend to help you out. And for your last minute start sit questions, join us on this channel Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is 8 a.m. Pacific Standard. We'll be here to answer all of your questions. And don't forget to check out tools.optimusfantasy.com. We've got all of the data you need to make winning decisions, not just for your fantasy rosters, for your DFS lineups, and to make those prop bets over the weekend to make some money on this slate, guys. Promo code 3 will get you $10 off your first 3 months. So please, guys, check that out. Keith, it's been great hanging with you this Friday.
Always,
We'll
bro.
always, man. We'll be back next Friday, same time, same channel, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard to get you ready for week 4. Until then, guys, good luck this weekend. Win some matchups, win some money, and have a good one.